Hi folks, in this tutorial we will look at doing greased and oiled pistons on this Necron Walker. So without further ado, let's cue the music. Starting from an all-over spray of silver paint, I'll be giving the entire piston a coat with Nuln Oil. And this doesn't have to be a thick coat, just a light coat just to cover all the bits of the metal. Once this wash has been applied, give it plenty of time to dry. 20 minutes should be fine. Once the Nuln Oil has dried, you then want to come back in with your favourite dark silver and paint the housing of the piston. In this case I'm using black metal from scale 75, but lead belcher from Games Workshop would work just as well here. You want to try and focus on the bits where the light would hit, leaving some Nuln Oil left in the shadows. Next, we're going to apply a really bright silver to the sliding part of the piston. Here, I'm using speed metal from scale 75, but you could use Stormhost silver from Games Workshop. The trick here is to give a nice even coat on the sliding part of the piston to give it a really bright shine. This may take a couple of thin coats to apply due to the bright nature of the metallics. The next bit is where the fun begins, and we get to apply the illusion of oil and grease on the piston. To do this, take some Seraphim Sepia wash from Games Workshop and focus it to the end of the piston where the sliding part meets the housing. You can build this up in thin layers and go about a third of the way down the piston. To really ensure that you sell the effect whilst it's still wet, drag your brush down the piston towards the housing, allowing a stronger concentration of tone towards the end of the piston. As an optional step, you may take a wet brush and feather out the end that's more along the sliding part of the piston to really emphasize that fading out of oil and grease as if it was building up towards the housing, where there would be some form of rubber seal which would stop grease and muck from entering into the housing of the piston. The real secret with this technique is to apply the Seraphim Sepia in small amounts. This is definitely one of those techniques where just having a little bit goes a long way to sell the effect of oil and grease on the piston. With the wash dry, the piston on this Necron Walker is now complete. If you haven't already, why not consider subscribing? It's free of charge and you'll get updates in your feed on further tutorials just like this one. See you next time, folks.